intro's just playing. Alrighty, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 2 of the CCG podcast, where we will be talking about future hardware. I have my common hosts, not common, like, you know, they're nobles, high class, but just underneath me on this box of people, we have Bernie, Glitch Guy, the Beast, the Phenomenon, the absolute legend. We also have Miguel, Nexus Dragon down in the other corner. What a legend, what a beast, absolute killer. And we have a very, 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 very special guest, Mr. Yui. If he wants to introduce himself, just because he's our guest, and you know, what's Ewan all about? What does he like doing with his spare time?
I can tell you for a fact I'm a nerd, and that's a good thing. People nowadays say, "Oh, nerds, who needs them?" But nerds are normal now, so it's in the mainstream.
That is a good point. Nerds, I think everyone's a nerd nowadays, to be honest.
If you're not a nerd, you're weird.
Like someone's a car nerd. Who wants to be a normie?
Well, I get the word is not an offense like it used to be. It's seen more as like
it's kind of Chad.
Someone who's like got an interest in something, you know. That's the way we tend to express it, I think.
Somebody that's not different. Oh, that is different, but
I like the first way you put it, and I think that's a good way. They're not different.
Well, I mean, like nerds are everywhere nowadays.
When, you know, they were
fucking
as a bit
nerds
different.
everywhere, dude.
Nerds are like the new normie.
Well, I guess speaking of which, what sort of nerdy stuff do you get up to?
Well, I love tech. I love programming. I love like electronics. I love Linux. I tell you that. I love Linux. Cybersecurity. I love that shit. What else? I could sit here for days and days just talking about tech, but you know, today we got a subject, don't we?
Yeah, it's tech. No.
It's great because it's true.
I couldn't resist.
Don't breathe in water, kids.
Alrighty. So I think the subject we're talking about, like, we're gonna go over like VR stuff, basically to begin with. Or maybe we'll talk about current consoles first. But you know, PlayStation has just announced the new PlayStation 2 VR, which has better specs than all the current VR stuff, and that just got me thinking. Well, where is VR going to be? Are we going to be in an isekai where we plug our heads into the back of the Matrix, and then, you know, all of us go there, we download Kung Fu, but right now, where are we at? Well, like, have you guys used any virtual reality stuff recently, like the Oculus or the Quest, or even the Steam VR? What's a Steam VR? What's the actual name for that one?
Like Vive or something? No, it's not Vive.
No, it's...
Well, the Steam VR is the program that runs over the top of games. That it's like a lobby. But if you're talking about the Index, that's
the Index. That's the one, yeah. Steam VR, yeah. So like, the big thing about the new one is it's just the specs are all better. And actually, the console's integrating. It's, you know, the original PlayStation VR just had basically, it was just like a scanner on top of the TV, whereas the new one's taking from the Vive, I believe, where there's actual big poles that you put in the walls, and I think I'm really happy we've brought you on, Ewan, because this is your area of expertise, bloody tech. Because have you looked at the new PlayStation VR at all?
I haven't really, but I assume that it's going to take aspects from the new VR and integrate it into that infrastructure and architecture.
Mm-hmm. How about you guys? You looked at the new PlayStation VR at all, or?
Yeah, I saw it a
No.
while ago.
Oh, sorry. You go.
No, you're right.
Oh, I was
just
just
say,
gonna say I was having a look now.
Yeah.
You go.
I was just wondering, do you have the specs in front of you, Ben? Are you able to bring them up?
Let me see if I can bring them up.
Which one are you looking for?
It's called the PlayStation
PSVR2.
VR2. So,
Okay.
Is that on the PlayStation 5?
yeah. I feel like, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like they should have probably released it. So I know they're trying to sell but do they really need to try and sell the PS5? You know what I mean?
They need
No.
to
I
try
mean,
and
like-
produce it.
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
need to
like they have such a
manufacture it.
cult following. They have such a cult following nowadays. You don't. They don't really have to sell the PS5. People just buy it.
Yeah. Like you can't even get it. You can't even get a PlayStation 5. So honestly,
One thing I can do is I could share up my screen and pull up the specs so you guys can have a look at the specs for that if you want.
Does anyone believe it'll launch with whatever specs they say?
Well, it'd be
some-
interesting. In any case, I'll pull it up. So
They're just throwing they've got OLED, actually OLED for
Yeah.
so that's just gonna look nicer. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
so you guys can see.
oh,
Oh yeah, 120 hertz.
Hold on.
That's cool.
Also,
Changed a bit.
oh no, Miguel, what have you done?
No, you ruined Ben's setup.
Put it back. Put it back.
Oh yeah.
You just
Sorry.
fucked everything. I'm like, oh no. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. How's that?
120
We good
hertz
now?
is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Well, VR's getting better and better. It's just, I don't know. Do you guys have a lot of interest in current VR? Like, do you actually want to use it? Is it something that actually interests you? Like for actual current use, or do you like more?
Not seriously, just sort of like anecdotally, like I want to try it out because it's cool, but I don't know. It'll never really replace any sort of mainstream gaming for me or entertainment.
Yeah, I can definitely. How about you, Ewan?
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like gaming classically on a keyboard and mouse, or even with a controller, it's not going to replace that until it becomes cheap enough that everybody can get it. Because once that happens, then you start creating communities, and the aspect of just socializing with somebody that's not there like having body language, because that's something that we are missing on Discord and like Skype and things like that. We don't have body language, not to the point where we have like pictures and stuff that we can look at each other with, but we don't have depth perception. We can't move around a room and interact. Like there's not that is not a part yet. But once that we get full body tracking that is affordable to the masses, then we'll get stuff like the metaverse, and that's going to happen.
The other thing is space in your house, though. Not everyone has
Oh my
large enough
god.
area to move around.
That's right. Yeah, I was just thinking, right? If we lived in a world where during the beginning of the coronavirus, people were like, oh God, okay, well, let's stay inside, right? Imagine if they had the brain to be like, well, seeing as we're going to be inside, why don't we just continue on having a community in virtual reality and everyone has an Oculus at home, right? Because it's like the government's giving us money. Imagine incentivizing the government to be like, okay, we'll give you money.
That's
you
the
can
future.
buy this VR set and have an online
so
community. So you can go between like having it online and then being able to have it in real life as well. So online you can be like, okay, I've just currently tested for the virus, right? I went to these places. You can communicate that on both platforms, right? And it's able to travel in different directions in that sense, move quicker in that sense, literally twice as fast. So imagine right? But we aren't in that world where VR has been able to pick up in popularity yet. And I think it won't be until we get to a point where we either don't have a choice, we do have a choice, and the choice is what brings us to buy VR, such as topics we may get into later, or it, like you said, it becomes affordable. Like everyone can do it if they so want to. You know, we may end up buying these things for our kids as a sort of toy or Christmas present. That's something I can imagine.
Yeah. I know Nintendo did a bit of experimenting. They did release like, I think they were like really
like
cheap,
AR.
really cheap. Well, they had the AR stuff. I think AR is definitely something I want to talk about. I actually think AR is actually closer to being, you know, an everyday thing. But with VR, yeah, they released these glasses that were just cheap cardboard things. I think they were like $50, but they just had it for a few games. But the question is, what with Ewan is spot on. Like
Oh,
the
dude, I literally just
affordability.
remembered that. I actually use those.
Yeah, yeah, they're
And
amazing.
my
Well, I
God,
mean, you can
I
put your
was
phone in it.
like, dude, you're
Yeah.
actually doing this? I thought it was hilarious at the time. I was like, honestly, it was very nostalgic in the sense like that's sort of how it used to be done. In a very
Yeah, the thing.
and also, it was just like, wow, what a move by Nintendo to be like, look
So,
what we could do if
yeah.
we want. But we're just gonna sit back and not act
Well,
on it, and
yeah,
we're gonna make our games 3-dimensional instead.
Nintendo's really known for like innovation. With every single console they release, they're like, "We'll make a fucking stick." I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Why are you making a stick, Nintendo? Well, fuck. Oh, best-selling console of all
Have
time. You know.
Have you guys heard of the Have you guys heard of the Virtual Boy?
Totally,
Classic.
Yeah.
So
Innovation
beyond
right
it.
there.
Yeah, it's before its time. It just didn't work. Made
Mm.
people nauseous as hell.
Yeah, I think they went and had to get lots of sorry I laughed so hard, I was just thinking about, as we were saying, Nintendo, they just innovate. That
Yep.
that was back, I think that was released in the 90s.
95.
Yeah, that was meant to be the next iteration after Nintendo 64, but it was a commercial failure for more than one reason. The only good game, there was probably two good games released on it: Mario Tennis and what was the other one? Wario. There was a Wario game released on it that apparently is pretty good.
Just
But,
imagining Nintendo doing something like that, but now, right?
well, they should. They should.
Right? And they
But
probably will. That's probably a future
this,
aspect we could imagine seeing, right? Because
this,
they're going to eventually have to be like, oh, well, all the kids are using VR these days. We have to get on the market.
I,
They release their own set with their own games. Right?
they normally don't do things cause other people are
Yeah.
telling them to. But
They like to find their own market.
Yeah, Bernie's already like he's brought up the other issue, like space. Oh, okay. I gotta put my sound up a bit. Yeah, and I gotta put you guys up a little bit as well. Sorry about that. Yeah, so like what space, man? Like we have no room to. The problem with the Vive and what's gonna happen with this new PlayStation VR, you need an entire room without any furniture or any, like people have a couch in their room, man. Till someone figures out like a on the spot, you can
There
still
was
walk.
something like that. I
Yeah,
forget what it was called. It had these little grooves in it that your feet just like slid in, so you walk in a direction, but you stay in place.
Yes, I have seen that. I have seen that.
yeah.
It was pretty cool.
It's like a circular omni platform where he has like shoes that he wears that makes it slippery on the surface, and it's got like different degrees, so it's sort of like inwards, right? And so he's got a frame that's attached to his waist, essentially holds his weight as he's able to run around in any direction using that.
How do we make? Okay, we're not doing it, but if someone was gonna do it, how would you make VR cost effective?
Cost effective.
I know.
Time it will become more because
you know what?
I guess
Honestly, I think it's going to be up to two things, right? And they're terrible topics. right? And I may as well put the first one out there, which is going to be labor costs. I think that's probably going to be the first one that really gets into it, where people are like, I don't care how much you pay me, I just want to work, right? Because there's going to be too many people. And so that's going to be one thing that's going to drive the price down, because there's so many goddamn people, right? Like they have to mass produce. And so because of that, they're going to need all the people to make them, right? And the people that make them are going to buy them as well, quite likely, or they're going to be given to them if they get lucky, you know? In a lot of countries, yeah, I don't think that they would get something like this. But you can imagine in a hopefully better society, things are possible. The other thing would be I think it would be the cost of technology, right? It would be the advancements that we make in tech in the future makes it more cost effective to produce and use these devices. I think that's likely where things will go, because like it's hard to know where the future could end up. It's not going to be something crazy, I don't think, like quantum devices where we have like a quantum computer attached to a virtual reality device, but it could be something more like, say you've got a virtual reality set that's like a full body device, right? And that essentially like hooks you into a game where you're able to move completely freely in this device, and it simulates into the game in the future, but not as a cost-effective product.
Yeah, it's
Well, the Oculus Quest is already sort of that. It's the
Yeah.
cost-effective version.
Like
You
they're
don't
going to keep
need
trying. It's going to happen soon, right? It's honestly, the sooner it happens, the better it will be in general, because of the fact that it will be worth more essentially the sooner it comes out. The sooner the innovation is, the
computers
fucking better it's going
control the thing.
right? Like until it comes to a point where we're like usually like we're actually getting scraps of other technologies and mixing them together in order to create these devices, like in that kind of future.
But then you've also got to remember that if something is really enticing, if there's a lot of people in it, there's going to be the demand for that. So people are going to pay more. So you won't have to scale up enough so it's cheap, right?
Yeah.
So people would spend an entire week or an entire month's paycheck on this thing because it's going to give them happiness. Because people are on the mission for happiness, and if they can see that this device is giving them happiness or is giving somebody else happiness, and if that's like if the news is on it, if everybody's looking at it, fear of missing out will start up, and people will spend whatever they need to.
Yeah.
Like for my future, considering I'll have to work with the people who don't make that, right? The people where they take a device that doesn't make the cut and actually damages them, or a person who is not able to afford a device and feels like because they cannot do that, they are unhappy. Like, those is like potential problems that my clients have to face in the future.
I'm just gonna check something that Andy's just mentioned.
So I think
in the chat. On the Twitch chat.
But then, what else?
Yeah, like
12K OLED. You what?
You want me?
For what?
What?
I'm not sure, but it looks pretty good.
Can you repost it or post it in Discord or something?
If I post on Discord's not a great spot. Hold on, let me.
Whatever. You can put it back in the chat.
I'll just put the name.
Why are we looking at 12K when we don't even have content for 8K?
That's interesting. Definitely need to. I'll have a look after definitely after the podcast. Andy, sounds pretty interesting. All right, so I guess with VR. So that's. I was actually going to ask you about that, Miguel. Like, how would you use VR in the cases of your work? But you were literally just saying, yeah, it'd be great for
Oh,
clients.
don't even get me started. I'm just talking about people like who have an issue with this technology, let alone how I can use this technology to support clients in the future.
Yeah,
That in itself is just, oh my God, all sorts of things, especially if I get into music therapy, which is something I want to develop in the future. Imagine being able to put on one of these devices and then essentially develop a sort of room, right, where you can meditate in a virtual reality setting, and it's linked to a device playing certain sounds to help you meditate or help you relax or help you do whatever you want as well. Like you could essentially create your own private room or private house in virtual reality in the future and live in that, right? Do that to meditate if you want. Just like, I want to rest my body but keep my mind active. Put on this device. Okay, rest my body. Now I'm in this virtual reality house. It's a spinning image, right? Imagine that's the future I see, right? And being able to do that with clients and talk to them about, okay, how do you feel in these different states, right? Think about it, right? Think about, okay, I don't need to use my body to move around anymore in the world. If VR gets to a point where it can imitate reality, that'll be the difference.
It's
the real difference. That's the Matrix.
I'm really excited for when music, because you mentioned music, like artists start using it, and I think
Like
we're gonna start seeing that
Mr.
soon.
Scott.
We're already seeing like a lot of Fortnite's. I'm not a fan of Fortnite, but it is a good example because they're doing these big concerts. If someone did, like a big artist, like did that in a VR setting, like they sunk some real money, I think that's where it's gonna go. Like you look at artists like the Gorillas.
It's gonna happen, right? Somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, I've always wanted to do this. Now I have the opportunity to do it and make money and create something cool." Fuck yeah, someone's gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
The question is who, and the question is when, right?
I mean,
Those are the
like,
least speculative.
Deadmau5 has already done that.
Yeah,
You guys know about that?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
don't get me started on Deadmau5. The
Like,
stuff
he's
that
already
he's
done that.
doing at the moment is incredible.
He's
right?
pretty innovative.
He's a pioneer, yeah, 100%.
I didn't know he did VR
Yeah.
stuff. I just know he
did
Love to
he
be
did a
able
set
to
in the
do what
metaverse.
he-
the metaverse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
Do you
Metaverse
wanna
is a
talk
lot
about
older
the
than
metaverse at all, Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, go ahead.
It's it's going to change a lot of things because everything's going to be provable and everything's going to be open. And as well as trading digital assets and having those linked to physical like things. You know, we start to see it with all this NFT craze that's going around. It's buying something from somebody that is not physically there, but it's a proof. Where, you know, you could take a photo of my NFT and steal it technically.
That's a meme, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. But then it's proof. It's like I could take a photo of I could take a photo of your concert ticket, but then is your name on your concert ticket? No.
Yeah, concert tickets, it kind of makes. If you're doing an online virtual invite kind of thing, I guess that works.
Yeah.
The question, yeah.
Even not online, like there's this NFT series called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Yeah. And you know they do, like you could do so much with NFTs and they could all be transferred into a metaverse kind of thing. You know, you could have your house around you in the metaverse. Right. It could all be NFTs.
And so imagine this, right?
You could have value.
Sorry to cut in, but I'm just like, what's popped into my head right then is like imagining this future, right? Where, okay, we're back into virtual reality and we're moving around in this space, which is this house, right? And somebody has up on the wall an image of an NFT in their virtual reality space, right?
Like this one?
Yeah, essentially, literally like that, right? But it's an NFT, and I like imagine this is not my place. Imagine this is another user's place. I can come in, go over, snap a shot of it, and then I have a copy of it, even though the NFT's image is there, right? I can essentially steal it in that sense, but I can't sell it off because obviously that's there. That's the proof.
It's not yours. Yeah.
Not mine, but I can still take that, essentially put it into the system, and then put that into my house if I wanted to, right? And you'd have this system of trading of like these images of NFTs that's free.
There would definitely be a system to stop you from doing that. There would definitely be a system because, like,
dude,
even
consistent
Twitter
people,
has been.
People will always try to innovate, my guy. And if the system gets better, people get better, right?
Just take a picture of the screen.
Dude, if people can imitate real life art, and they can be like, hey, I've copied this and I sell it off as a original, even though it's a copy, and make money like that, like people have done in the past, it is not going to be harder to do that with a digital product. It's going to be easier because people are going to learn how to do that. Like, and that's the thing. The people who learn how to
out of the architecture of a metaverse, that would be easier. But I would think if it's coded properly, and you'd want to code it properly to begin with, you don't want anybody like exploiting your system, getting rich, right? You want to make sure that it's all not vulnerable when it goes up. I would think that if you put an image up, it would have to be checked on the blockchain if it's yours, and if it's not,
Oh, like a kind of like if you put an image into into Google, you can find out if that's been copied or taken from elsewhere. Yeah, you could do that.
Well, yeah. It's mostly about metadata, about like this image has this unique string, and that unique string then is tied to your hash, which is your identity on the blockchain.
Yeah. Honestly, if it's been up and it's identical, people will be able to identify that. So, like, a system should be able to identify that. Yeah. So that would stop it.
Yeah.
And also, 3D objects are pretty hard to. You can't just take a picture of a 3D object. We're thinking of it as 2D at the moment. As soon as you think of it like in a table, you can't just take a picture of a table. Like,
you could also like it. We're also thinking about physical things at the moment, right? Like a painting or like a 3D object. But like in the future, I see a future where you could tokenize your house, and this means that you own your house, and this will give you money from that person. Like there's so many different ways that you can integrate. Have like being in a metaverse.
But that's the thing, like I imagine like a place where you have two houses, essentially, one where you're living in real life and one where you have a virtual reality setting, where the things in that virtual reality setting are worth actual value, as well as the house itself, right? Because it's got to be put in a certain platform, right?
Oh my
God. That's the whole thing. So like, hey dude, come check out my like Bitcoin, right? And you literally have like a just randomly massive sized Bitcoin laying around in your virtual house that you can throw around. Check it out, dude, bro. Like,
look
at this. This is my Ethereum miner, and you can have like a fucking so many things, right?
That's another thing.
You know who should push to make virtual reality accessible?
Who?
Facebook.
Oh, what?
Imagine.
Why would they ever do that?
To get you on the metaverse.
I want to say two things.
Steal your data, steal your meta.
Just to interject, right?
They're the ones who need to do it.
One, is it possible for you to like pull up a layout of the...
I've set it up pretty rough.
What is it? So, no, I mean like, so you pull out like a separate window and lay it over your screen or all of the screens or whatever that shows the video of the like the intro for the metaverse by Facebook show that.
I've kind of messed up, Miguel, but let me see if I can try and throw something together real quick.
So
I'll put a little.
Because if you could do that, like lay it over the Zoom meeting thing as a like separate window.
I kind of messed up where I put the Zoom meeting. I wasn't really prepared to show video. I really should have been. Last week I was, but this week I've look.
Well, It's just one thing. But the second thing is said I wanted to actually talk about a study that I was having a look at before the podcast as well. So perhaps I could do that while you're trying to set up the video.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can talk about the study a little bit, and I'll try and get this working.
Yeah, awesome. Well, in terms of that, I just want to pull it up myself. This is a study done talking about the state of the art of virtual reality technology, right? And this was done 6 years ago. So this is not a new study. It's just done quite a while back. Right? And they're talking about the very introduction about how the wave of virtual reality has brought all of these new devices and inputs. And then it's talking about where they expect this technology to go into the future. And they're talking about these interesting issues that they find with like creating a better version of virtual reality. And it's all about essentially processing. It's all about how much it can actually capture and turn into data that you're able to see, and you know, and the other one, which is God damn it was just in my mind. Sorry, just having a read. Just like it's not able to process the actual physical body itself, so it's not able to create a proper movable copy of the human body in the virtual reality. And it's, well, I think now like we're getting to a point where it's pretty close. Like it's pretty, you're able to get more than just hand motion within virtual reality, and I can see it transforming very soon into, you know, more advanced technologies where it's capturing full body, where it's capturing like whatever subtle movements that you're doing, whether it's like a camera that's watching and putting up an image that's imitating you, or whether it's a device that's capturing your actual movements. It all depends how it's set up. But
and we've also got to think about the neural link that Elon Musk is making, because if that gets good enough, then we'll think about moving our limbs to a position, and then the VR will do it. We won't even have to move anything. We'll just have to think about doing it.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then there'll be also, we won't need a headset because we'll just have another window. It's in our mind, you know? You just, once you train a brain to realize that this is an input, you can just feed it information. And that's, you know, we can have a keyboard, we could have whatever you want. You could create a muscle interface. You could have the entire metaverse as another consciousness in your brain.
It'll be pretty interesting, that, because could you imagine
what's going to win, right?
Example, they develop a game where you're a caterpillar and you're using Neuralink to move that. You program your brain, you think, I'm a caterpillar, and then you come out of the game and you try and move outside the game and you're like, oh shit, I'm not a caterpillar. Is that an issue? Is that a thing? Is that are we gonna forget?
Well, that's a very funny thing, because that's actually been talked about quite a long time. There's an old saying that talks. Well, it's not quite an old saying, but I think that quite a few, I guess self-called enlightened, or otherwise known as enlightened people, have said, like, if you think about the way the state of reality is, right? Are you a human that is looking at a butterfly and imagining like what the butterfly looks like in your mind? Or are you a butterfly that's imagining what it's like to be a human in its imagination? How do you know like the difference between whether you're living like the imagination of a butterfly, or whether you're looking at a butterfly in your imagination as well as in real life? How could you know the difference?
I thought you were going in a different direction.
But it's talking about like your essentially you think about yourself as a caterpillar, right? Like you don't know whether or not you're able to do the things you are as that character. It's the same for the butterfly. You don't know whether you can fly as being the butterfly or whether you're being human and doing human actions. It's the same thing. The same if you create like an avatar of a creature, you don't know whether you're able to do the motions of that avatar or just the ones that the human can do, right? It's the same thing. That's what I'm talking about, right? You know, imagine like, oh, I'm just going to create literally whatever I want in virtual reality, thinking again, like Ready Player One, hello, that. And, you know, that is the future that not only was thought about already, but is quite likely going to be a future we aim for. I think that people want to get to that kind of point because, like Ewan said before, they want to find happiness. They can find it in a VR set.
There's a game
Go for it, no matter how much space they have.
But then going back to that, going back to the would you feel like a caterpillar and how would you integrate? I would think that to protect the brain, it would always be felt like it would always be integrated to feel like a game. Like you're always pressing buttons, you know? If it's a trigger in your brain versus a button, you know. And
well,
also
that's why people feel sick when
human you know, right? The human brain won't be able to imitate a caterpillar because it's a human brain. It's supposed to be imitating it being human instead of, you know, getting reprogrammed to be a slug.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's why it's so interesting, like, you know, the brain thinking about whether or not I can actually act out this other thing, you know. It's like, you know, why people get sick when using virtual reality sets. They get sick because it's like they know this is a reality. Oh, I feel sick, right? Speaking of sick, I guess Ewan's camera's reality was a bit,
a bit, yeah.
There are brain caps capable of doing the same thing as Neuralink. So there's just brain caps. So you don't need the link. And brain cap. That's what Andy's just said in the chat. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
I reckon that's probably an experiment in a fucked up country, like you know how Germany had all their crazy experiments. You get a baby, and you put them in virtual reality as a caterpillar from birth. And
is it bad to think about North Korea in this instance?
They can't afford. No, I'm kidding.
Will they be the first? They could. They totally could. They would be like, hey, we have all of these people that have to listen to whatever we do. Let's just, or will it be China first? China will be like, hey, we're going to be the innovators. We're going to take all the tech. We're going to steal the tech from America, and then we're going to develop the most innovative tech over the next decade.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of happening.
And then
getting
make
back to
it
that
cheap
question,
and affordable because of labor.
Oh,
and then
goodness.
maybe you can buy a stand made in China.
Ewan has become, he's now a
completely gone. Yeah,
made in China.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a caterpillar.
But yeah, right.
I'm on the floor.
That's what I mean. This is what I mean. And we live in a society at the moment that is all about discarding, right? We use and discard everything, right? Well, like if you think about it, besides from fruits and vegetables, when was the last time you ate something that you didn't have a wrapper for or didn't have any plastic for it? Any plastic to hold it? Today. Name me something.
A banana.
Water.
I had a banana today.
Water.
Besides fruit.
Right?
Go down the stream, get some water in you.
But I'm talking about food, right?
Yeah,
nothing.
Water's food.
You can't eat anything else, right? Everything else is packaged today.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right?
The only time you can get the actual product itself unpackaged is if you go to a butcher and you ask for meat unpackaged. And how do they give it to you? Yeah. In a plastic.
Even then.
Right? They've got to wrap it up in plastic still. So you're even getting your meat in plastic today. And like a future where everyone's doing that and there's like more than just a single digit of billion people on this earth. Right?
Oh, we'll be done by then. Don't worry, Miguel.
Yeah, then we're getting into
will we be done? Like we might not be done because we'll just be like, why blow up ourselves? Why end like the human race when we can all just go play in virtual reality and just chill out here and do nothing?
That's right. Really right.
That's the
Sorry.
future. Just chill out and we do nothing.
I think that's the
Yeah,
problem
that's
with,
right. Go up into space and we're gonna hang out for 700 years and come back and we'll be like, bro, the Earth changed. There's like trees and stuff. Let's go.
There's also a problem with VR that I see. If everybody goes onto a VR world, we won't be able to. That there won't be certain subconscious cues like pheromones, right? So people won't get those cues. So then, if somebody grows up with VR, how scary would the outside world be? It'd be so scary you wouldn't want to go outside. And if you get everything delivered, yeah, you got VR. You don't need to go outside.
It's
right?
already during this COVID period. That's already in it. It probably would have been worse.
See, the thing is,
that's
I
what
think
makes it an issue. Yeah, it's
my
sprung
thinking
up
on this
already, and everybody
subject-
understands.
I was just going to interject with. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
guys.
you're fine.
But I was going to interject
no.
with like thinking that like children are going to not be going outside, right? And they're not going to be using their senses essentially. Their senses are going to deteriorate because they're only inside, and they're inside clean spaces for a lot of kids. For other kids, not so clean, but obviously because of what's happening currently, we try to keep spaces inside pretty clean. So because of that, they're all going to grow up thinking, okay, we've got to keep everything clean, always clean, always clean, always stay inside, don't do anything, stay inside. Their sensors are only going to sense like very, very like strong smells, or they're only going to be able to hear like really loud things because they're going to be listening to stuff all the time since they're little. So their eardrums are just not going to be able to deal with it unless they grow to a point where like we somehow evolve to be able to take in more sound input because our brains want to suck up more sound, right? And in that sense, our brains develop more. That's a whole other subject.
That's all learning, though. Right? That's like you can learn to pick out different aspects of music, and you can learn to do all that. But if somebody has never listened to music before, they'll probably not take in that much information. They'll just listen to the overall tone.
People will always listen to music, right? And the reason for that is because people will always feel music.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way it's going to be. I don't like. I think that a more likely future in my mind is a future where people grow up only having experiences of music or not having any experience at all. Like if people don't have any experience with music whatsoever, I think that's going to be because there's something so significant where that whole culture of humanity has been erased or essentially just removed from like to a point of taboo. That's the only way I think that would have to happen. Otherwise, it has to be part of the culture because it moves people, because it's a culture that we keep as history, right? And that's why it's fundamental to our nature as well. It's not something that we'll just lay down and forget. It's something we'll evolve, and we'll evolve to the point where I see a future where we can listen to sounds where it adapts our mood, it adapts our physical capacity because of the things that we're listening to, making us more alert or making us more relaxed or all sorts of things. Like the way that you can make someone feel just by making them listen to something is endless.
Well, that comes back to nostalgia, and that is how if you grow up in an environment that is the same to everybody else's environment, like on VR, on like a multi-chat, then you would think that multiple people would have the same triggers. So that's scary, where somebody could control everybody by doing the same thing.
Yeah, well, hey, stay inside, don't go out, wear a mask.
Yeah,
no traveling, 7 days quarantine.
That's
make sure you get a test.
I mean, like in an overall sense. In an overall sense, I mean, send a sound to these people that will make all of those people nostalgic, make them all happy. Or hey, they all hate this noise. Send this one noise to everybody. That one noise makes everybody depressed. Psychic drone.
Right?
Or they all shit. They all do that brown
noise. Why do you think I want to work and develop that so I can understand the triggers and ways in which to protect human beings from those triggers, right? Because I can imagine a future where we're wearing these devices all the time and we have to program them so that we can't get hacked by another system, by another person who's like, okay, I want to digitally attack this person using sound to a physical degree where it, debilitates the person even. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if there was a sound that turned your brain off? Could you imagine that? You may not even need to hear it, like in your own experience, but it could just be a sound that plays in your ear and I'm asleep, I'm gone. And then what could happen, right? Imagine like the whole idea about stealing from somebody when you can do that. Okay, I steal your consciousness. You're gone. You're locked up until I decide to release you. Could you, like, that's a whole dystopia.
I'm not. I don't know.
Isn't that called hypnosis?
Hypnosis.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Hypnosis, yeah, but hypnosis uses more of like physical as well as verbal as well as body cues to, I guess sort of manipulate certain people. Not everybody can be hypnotized, right? Some people are very susceptible to it. Some people, it just does not work for them whatsoever, right?
Is that nature or nurture though?
No, it's an individual thing. It's hard to really say whether that's something that they've learned. Okay, I've learned to not be hypnotized by another person. I think it's more on the nature side, like where people are just predisposed and they grow up like being able to be influenced in a certain way by another individual to where they might do something, right? Because that totally doesn't happen in our society where we're not influenced to do anything, right? No, not at all, right? We're not influenced to like buy products or live our life.
Getting into another subject.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, we want to go back to tech.
But going back to tech, right?
We'll go back
that's
to
the thing. Like you can get to do so much in these environments, right? I think that our kids are going to be the kids that grow up working in these environments, right? Imagine having a job in one of these virtual realities. You work in this place. Well, okay. I've had a full day's work. I go home, I lay my body down, and then I go back to work in virtual reality.
So I want to talk a bit about different kinds of tech and like VR instead of just VR, about AR as well. So augmented reality. So for anyone who, I'm pretty sure we all know about AR.
Well,
AR.
I see in the future
reality. Like
I see in the future where we would have AR/VR. So both, where you could completely go into VR and you would have all the features of VR, but then you could have something in the middle where somebody is sitting down with your chessboard and moving the pieces on your chessboard that's in real life, but then also you're looking at them maybe a bit different, so you can tell that they're not actually there, but then also syncing up things that are in real life with VR to make it a hybrid. That's where I see that going.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of just having VR or just having AR when they can be integrated?
Toxics just said in the chat, let's hear more from the bearded guy and Bernie Sanders.
I was just going to say, AR has a lot more potential in like modern day workplace than VR, I'd say. Like in the future, VR maybe play a bigger role, but today I think AR has more like to do with the modern stuff. Like you could use it, like a tradie could use AR to measure things up.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Overlaying the
like 5 years ago, when I was working with the Reload was doing this Reload Labs thing, they had this guy who was fucking genius. I don't know where the fuck he's gone now, but he was so smart. And he developed this the light rail. He just decided 1 week, like, oh, this week I'm gonna just do an augmented reality projection that you can just project on to a table of the light rail system in Canberra. And he just did this in like 4 days, and he won like this competition for like $1,000. I was like, shit,
that's insane.
Yeah, but the practicality of that is like, you're walking around and you're saying like a tradie, like they need like a measuring device or a tool. The tool is just
Draw
accessible
it up
like
in
that.
AR on the actual thing.
Yeah, it's so. I think it's honestly, as soon as like Google's working on the Google glasses, and I've seen they have glasses for like $100 on this Google stuff. Just no one's really set up the software yet. Yeah. Once someone figures out the software, I think it's actually more accessible and more it's once we can go outside again as well. But yeah.
If we want to go outside, people will decide like it's better to do that. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how
Yeah.
go outside and catch the next. But
the next DLC.
Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty. I want to go. Let's bring it back a little bit.
I was gonna ask. Did you end up being able to pull up the video?
Dude, no. I've messed up how I set up my whole thing. I put the chat thing in the wrong location. So like I needed it this way a bit so I could have space to put something else there. I don't have enough screens.
Do you need to look at the chat while you got the video?
You need more screens.
I've got your stream up. I can look at the chat.
I've got the chat up. I can see the chat. Okay. It's more. Yeah, I just need another screen. You can never have too many screens, bro.
Just like put, drop down the chat and then load it up like that because I've got the chat in front of me as well.
No, it's because it's not. That's not the issue. The issue is I need to. My middle screen is. I don't know. I'm a bloody idiot. I set up the Zoom. I'm like doing this with my hands. Question: what's your opinions on AR/VR with engineering designs like 3D modeling? That's a question.
It's gonna have to be.
That's a question for this guy.
Well, it's that guy.
Whichever way he.
Yeah.
Got there.
Like to you, Miguel, it's that guy.
Yeah.
No, it's that guy.
This guy. I put the stream up. I got the stream up. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay.
3D modeling.
So,
I think that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about asset creation, right? So we have so many assets that we can bring into VR just because we have all the data for, and we will definitely need something that creates and scans real objects, so so they can be put into VR/AR. I think that can be done by a designer. Like a 3D modeler or a designer, but I think the future of that would be having depth perception with cameras. If that means having stereoscopic cameras, 2 cameras, and to look at differences and have a rotating pedestal or something like that, or if we have depth perception through like I forgot the type of camera, but they're currently being developed where they see the direction of light. So if light comes from over here and gets bounced off from over there, then it can see depth. That's creating stuff like holograms out of one camera. But yeah, we'll need some software if it's a neural network or something else to be able to pass all this data in, so then we can get 3D model out. Because at the moment, hiring somebody to model your house into VR/AR would not work. We would need something that does it automatically.
It would work pretty good the other way around, but
yes,
because they already have massive 3D printing. Actually, Andy's already in the chat knows about this because I'm pretty sure he's the one who showed me about this. But they have massive, gigantic like 3D printing vehicles that like 3D print a house.
Yeah.
It's pretty bloody awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
they're developing that for Mars, aren't they?
Is that for Mars? They're
pretty
just
sure.
doing it.
Dude, it's for the future, dude, where you're going to be able to just have this machine that prints whatever the hell you want.
Because there was a competition. I remember there was a competition about people making 3D printed, extruding clay and making 3D printed habitats for Mars.
Mars, they're going to love the 100%.
Yeah,
what else to do on Mars?
Yeah, jump about, be an astronaut.
No, I'll be playing VR games about
Has to be Yeah, 100%.
The problem is we won't be able to.
Sorry.
we won't be able to go online with people on Earth. That's one of the problems because of the light speed dilemma.
Yeah.
And
We'll only be able to send messages.
We'll only be able to send messages or have, like, for example, a holo disc. One of them from one of those classic Star Wars adventures. You'd have a holo disc where you record yourself in VR and then send it.
Yeah, that I imagine that essentially. They're like these, 3D image, your 3D messages essentially. That copy whatever you do. Yeah.
But then that will also open up, like, if you're in an environment where there's people talking, is that person a bot? Who knows? Let's check. Are they going to react to me? No. Well, that's a recording. That's a bot. Even that might not be a robot, but it might be a recording. So you got to make sure that, yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure when you're walking around in virtual reality, the person like standing next to you isn't just like a bot listening in to what you're saying.
Yeah. But then also you could have a podcast, so people talking to each other, reacting to each other, but then you're like, is this a podcast? Is this pre-recorded? And then you can go over there and
other people in the podcast real.
I just gotta say this. I can't wait till we can like all wear Jedi robes and like get our holograms. I'm just excited for that.
Oh,
dude.
Gosh. Yeah, dude.
Oh man, I can tell you.
2030 Halloween. That's what it's going to be.
May the 4th.
2025.
May the 4th.
6 if you get lucky.
On May the 4th, if we're doing a podcast, can we wear Jedi robes? Or just please.
At some point, if we can all get some, we'll do
some. Is it going to get hot? I'm going to have to sweat.
Let me hold on. Just give me a sec to have a look.
What are you looking at?
We are gonna. I don't know if we can confirm it now. I'd love to, but on May the 4th, special podcast where we will do that.
Are you guys all willing to wear a Jedi robe? I mean, you can just go.
I'd do it for May the 4th. I wouldn't do it like random, but.
We're going to do an IRL stream. Just go out.
I want to
get our robe.
Hard at the moment.
Yeah, just go out.
Yeah. That's we should just go out. Yeah.
Just go out. One of those.
I forgot.
I know.
Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget this deadly virus.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be the way we are, right? We're all like we're itching to go out. Our brains are like we can, right? We can, right? Once upon a time we could do that, and then we can't now, and then we don't want to now, and then but maybe we want to, but they don't want us to. So maybe we should.
We want to.
Hey, I'm streaming myself. They're watching me. They're watching. No.
Coronavirus is just a way for the government to recharge the birds.
Oh god.
I think it's for the bees.
Oh, both.
The bees, dude. The birds and the bees.
It's like a USB. Just plug them in.
One thing I did want to say though, if I can, I want to try to remember it, but I was thinking about when we were talking 3D models before, right? I was thinking we live at this point where we are using something similar to Neuralink to essentially imagine a virtual reality, right? But I was thinking of this conundrum. How do you imagine things in your mind already at this point in time? Because you can look up, not everybody has a visual representation in their mind. Some people don't see anything. They don't hear anything.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking because some people are like that, and look up the percentage of people that are like that, right? And it is crazy. Because of that, you've got this product that only works with a certain amount of people, unless they can turn it on. Could you imagine how somebody's mind would be blown if they were plugged into a system and then suddenly this world appears in their mind?
No, I got to tell you something. This is crazy. So I think it was the University of, I can't remember, but this was I read this 9 years ago or something like that. So they put these pads on the back of this person's head who was blind. And they could play a game. They could see it. And they could think to jump, and it would jump. What university was this again? I want to pull up this study because it's fucking wild. So if they integrate that kind of stuff into well, we're already talking. Actually, thinking caps. That's kind of what we're talking about with
That's
neural chip and thinking.
Probably
Caps.
where it all started.
Yeah.
I mean, like going back to that question before, you can emulate what they want to do with Neuralink with those neural caps with all the different points. But the difference is that with Neuralink, it's there forever, so it's going to build a better and more integrated network where, you know, if you press a button, if you think about pressing a button, that will be so easy to do that you won't ever get a false negative
Yeah. I think
eventually.
with Neuralink, I'm excited for it, but I don't think most people are going to be interested in the idea of putting it there. You know how everyone is.
Effective it is.
Yeah.
Caps sounds a little bit more accessible to the average person in terms of like what they believe, you know. But people, oh yeah, I'll put on a cap if I work better. Fuck yeah, like put some shit in my head. Hell no. Like yeah,
They have proven that it can be removed without damage though. So, and once like lots of people get it, there's going to be that hype. There's going to be that, hey, this can be done. There's no risk. You know, why wouldn't I do it? I've got a calculator in my head. I've got Google in my head now. Why wouldn't I do it? Yeah.
I've got Google in my head.
I've got Google in my head.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I ever want Google in my head. That just sounds like that takes my breath away. I'll be honest.
It takes like back checking to the next level.
Yeah,
it's Googling it in your head. Like no, that's
Google in your head.
But then it's not even going to be just that. It's going to be like, oh, I want to do
Jesus.
mental arithmetic. How many years will it take for this thing to happen divided by, you know, all this mental math, and we're just done. You won't need to learn anything.
I think it's
people
awesome.
won't do math anymore.
For a lot of people, it's just scary, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's just
Like-
scary.
I just looked up, right, the statistics on like how many people can't visually picture something in their minds. And it's about 5% of the population, apparently. And then there's about 10 to 15% of people who have the opposite effect,
What do
where
you
they're
mean, the
just
opposite
like
effect?
too much, essentially. Like if some person can't imagine anything visually, another person is like, whoa, the input is too much for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Thou
That
shalt
sounds
be
crazy.
left behind. No, I'm kidding. That's horrible. I'm joking. Of course.
But still,
care about
it's
it.
like, yeah, those people, they won't be able to use these devices, or will they? Could you imagine, like, firstly, what it would be like for them, but also like, what it'd be like if you could update that to, not just sort of the image that you get in your mind, to a full picture perfect image in your mind of something that you want to look at.
We just got a message
Well-
from Andy. From a neurological point of view, no different from a phone. So,
And looking it up, yeah. So like you have a phone in your brain, but then
yeah,
it could be so many different ways. So many different.
I think if they can figure out a way to just make it so it's not having to be put into your brain, if they can avoid that step, everyone will be like, they will 100% jump on top of that. It's just
But see,
then again,
you know what
there's-
I think it's that, right? My first thought in hearing that is you're gonna have the do's and the don'ts. The guys who are like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to use this device that I can like attach essentially to not do that. And then you're gonna have the ones who are like, fuck, give it to me. I want it. Give it to me. I want it in my brain. Right? And
It's
they're
also
like,
the human condition.
Right? They're like itching for it, right? And some people are like that.
oh, they want it.
You yourself,
It's
Ben, have said several times, like once the technology of Neuralink is available, you want that,
Yeah,
right?
fucking oath.
That's what I mean, like,
Hell yeah, dude.
well, like there's people like you, but there's people who are like,
What are they
as soon as
called
it's
again?
physically possible, it's gonna happen.
They're there's technophobes and
Yeah. I mean, like, it's part of the human condition to be
Technophiles.
scared of what you don't know and what's new,
so.
because you see the past as nostalgic. You know, everything is better in the past. Everything's better in the past.
Yeah.
And into the future, why would we differ from something that works? You know, why would we differ from something that made us happy in the past?
You know what? Novelty is
generation
good
was the new
until you cannot get enough novelty. That is the
pretty cool.
reality of it. Novelty as good as you get it, and once you get it too much, it's just not worth anything, right? And when you get to a point where everybody's like, "Oh, novelty isn't worth anything to me anymore because I'm not a child anymore. It means nothing." The hell does doing anything mean to you when it's not? Oh, I could just imagine everything somebody has ever done and copied a video of it in my mind, and I've done it essentially. Except the only difference is instead of living my life and doing it myself, someone else has gone and done it for me. And I can have the same experiences and sit here in my chair at home, chill like this, and wow, I could be on top of the world in my mind for only 99999, right?
I
That
think Rick and Morty went over this one. Like, there's a full
Download
episode
knowledge.
where the guy's a carpet salesman.
Yeah.
just slightly,
geez.
right? Literally though,
Yeah.
that there's so many possibilities, and I think the best way to get a sense of where it could go is look into literature, look into culture, look at the way we go, right? That's why I want to study psychology, because it's like if I can think about why people want to go this way as opposed to this way, right? I can understand why things are happening at a deeper level than just, oh, people want to do this. Oh, people have chosen to do this. I can understand why. And that's so important. And I can teach other people to understand why. And that's important. People can have control over what they're doing. Hey, I have independence now, right? Independence from the system, though, that's a whole different thing.
From the
Isn't it?
government. No, I'm sorry. I keep doing that.
Sorry. That was in my mind as well.
Right.
I was
No.
my head.
It's
If you could pull
interesting.
that up on stream,
So-
you would just see that. But
So how did we get here? We went from VR to AR. We went around
Talking
and
about-
around.
VR to AR to 3D mode.
So
We
And
went
then-
to a few different places. We went to the metaverse, but we didn't get to show what the metaverse looks like. We
mean-
could put in the video link into the
if
chat, and you can look it
anyone-
up yourself.
if
At the
anyone wants
moment,
to look up
it's-
the metaverse,
Yeah.
you've probably heard about it.
At the
on
moment, it's a
Facebook.
concept because it's not
Yeah.
fully fleshed out, and the technology is currently being integrated into a new system where we're going, like, in cryptos in a nutshell, there's proof of work and proof of stake. People are going from proof of work, where you're mining on a rig, to proof of stake, where you're staking your coins on a network. And the people that have the most coins are going to be able to verify it. So classical system where you'd think everything's on the network and you have a metaverse, it's not like everybody around the world has to do the same algorithm, and it's a big waste of power, where the new system is going to be much more effective in there's going to be less fees. It's not going to use as much power. So when this happens, that's when I think lots of people are going to jump on and make the metaverse a thing, where there are metaverses right now, but they're slow and chunky.
I've got a pretty interesting idea. Hopefully it's interesting. I just think it is. I've thought about it before, and I wanted to ask somebody to see what they thought of this idea, right? Because I'm like, it would be just crazy, right? So pretty typical idea, except with a twist. So what would you do if I gave you $1 million right now? What would you do with it?
Spend it all on
Right?
drugs. No, I'm kidding.
If I give, so the thing is, think about it this way: I give you $1 million, right? Tax free, $1 million, tax free, straight to you, straight away. What do you do with it? And you can spend it on whatever you want, and you're not going to pay income or anything. Doesn't count towards income.
Straight up, just buy a house.
Yeah,
House?
that's what 9 out of 10.
What about the
people
other two guys?
I would
buy.
Yeah, buy a house, buy a house.
What
right?
about you?
I just want a space to live, right?
I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and it makes so much sense to me that, you know how everybody's talking about the bubble? Oh, it's the housing bubble. It's going to burst. How do you make a bubble burst, right? You fulfill the need. If the need is fulfilled, then everything will start plateauing. But what's the need In Australia,
If
what's the
if the
need
supply
of
is
housing?
there, the demand will drop off.
There's two needs. There's living and there's investing. And like we have a lot of people that have a lot of money that they don't know what to do with. And to fulfill that,
That's right.
they would
You
need
can
to
look
make
all around
a
Canberra.
house
It's a
for
great
every
place, right?
person, a house for every person, and also a house for every investor that wants to come to this country and to invest. That is not realistic. That is why the housing bubble is not going to burst anytime soon, because there'll need to be so much investment into building houses, and people are not willing to do that. So then that price is high. So yeah,
You're welcome, man.
Someone
Right?
said in the chat,
So now,
I'll have
hold
the
on.
money.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so my
on.
answer is
hold on.
real
You go,
estate,
yeah.
of course, but then
Real
buying a
estate.
duplex, having people rent out the other duplex, me living in the other one.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's just
essentially
an
it's all that. It's like housing or real estate, right? Think about it like that. Now, twist on it, right? This is the actual question. What would you do if I gave everyone $1 million? Right? Wouldn't do a lot,
I
right?
buy a house before everyone else.
You would just fuck the entire economy.
If you've given every
The economy
that's right,
would
that's
crash.
right.
Yeah.
Now, you couldn't do no way.
You'll be able to buy a
But
lollipop.
what if you gave everybody, because of their behavior, if you're a good boy, you're a good girl, you gave everybody a chance at $1 million just for being a good little citizen?
Wait.
You get a chance.
It sounds like a
massive
lottery
payout,
to me.
right?
Okay, I
Just
just
for
gotta ask the
behaving,
question. What does this
feeding
got to
the
do with
system.
tech?
Scratch the little ticket, Jimmy. You're gonna get $1 million.
What does this have to do with tech? Is like, because that'll be the next thing, because like you have all of this money, right? People who are going to innovate are going to be like, I want to buy the most advanced tech I can possibly get, and I want to innovate that. I want to learn like what this can be, like what this can do, and how this can increase content in the future. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, everybody's got a random chance of getting $1 million. Somebody gets it randomly. Okay, how do they innovate with that $1 million? More than just real estate, more than just housing, right? People are like, hey, I'm going to develop this technology that is going to revolutionize the world. $1 billion company made out of a random chance of $1 million, right?
It all depends.
You know, that is not only incentivizing gambling on the whole population, right? Feeding them that, feed the system, get into the system. You'll love the system. We've got more gambling things you can do, but this you get to do for free. It doesn't cost you anything except for being a good citizen, right? Now, on top of that, people are gonna do more than just housing, because people will be like, okay, I've got a house. I've just randomly gotten $1 million. Now what do I spend? Oh, a millionaire. Somebody's got $50 million. He's got $1 million randomly. What's he going to do now, right? It's a chance. It's not even based on like who you are and like income.
Yeah, it's definitely
how you behave as an individual. Right?
It definitely changes if you do have a house, because after you have one house, you don't have that need of the house, right? You don't have the need of paying rent and all that.
Chances, right? Changes.
You identify after that, like then what, like you look at yourself. You look like all of us look at ourselves. Like it doesn't necessarily. It might if you have kids. Okay, what am I going to do to make more money so I can get those kids through school? Or if you have a passion, be like, oh, I'm going to follow that. What do I need to do to make that passion happen? After you get a house, I mean, money. The idea of what matters kind of changes.
It changes, right? It changes a lot. And then what if you make it, okay, you can earn something of value, but in virtual reality. Okay, you win this prize, this like, NFT, this whatever you want to create in the virtual reality and have it. Hey, you've won this. You can sell it. You can do whatever you like with it. It's free. It's tax-free. You want it. You can have it if you're a good citizen. Sponsored by the Australian government, Canberra. Right?
Wait, what?
What?
But this is what I mean. Like, that's how they would catch you.
I'm pretty sure you lost us, bro.
Okay. The government will not give away free money.
That's what I'm talking about.
They will not give away free money.
No, they may not. Right?
And if they give it away for free,
instead of it being them, like, why would they do it when a corporation can? Right? Oh, I'm a member of this corporation, so therefore I have this chance, right? I'm a member of this community within my state. whether it's in real life or in virtual reality. Right?
What are we talking
And instead
about?
of it having to be money, it can be anything, right? It doesn't have to be like
All
the
right,
point is like being able to give wealth randomly a
Meg-
chance to
Miguel,
I'll
I
pull
got
it
one
back
question.
on-
I got one question. All right, where does this relate to AR VR tech? It doesn't.
Huh?
Where,
No, that's what I was
think we've
saying.
gone
It's like
so much
people
off
who
track that
have
it's
this
just
chance.
getting more and more.
I
No, because
enjoy.
so there's two ways, right? No. There's two ways in which this connects quite a lot, right? And first of all, is when somebody has hold on, when somebody has developed a system such as the metaverse, where they want you to be in the system, right? When somebody has developed virtual realities where they want to keep you within the system, they can create these incentives, right?
Nah,
How about
Miguel.
take a breath?
Nah, I'm
you
cutting you
I
off.
can't. I
I'm cutting
can't.
you off.
I'm dying.
We got to change subject.
Alright.
We're gonna go in
You
another
go, you go.
direction.
No, that's
Oh.
fine. That's fine.
You want
Because
to
you-
talk about
because
the
you-
Steam console?
Because you lost us so strongly, I have to pull us back on track. Like it
I
doesn't
don't know.
matter how
What
hard
was he
you
talking about?
explain. I'm not sure. And I'm not trying to, Miguel. I'm just gonna I enjoy that you, but
Yeah,
I gotta
that's
pull us
fine.
back this way a little
gotta
bit.
Go
breathe.
ahead, go ahead. I
I
have
gotta
no
breathe.
problem with this.
So
No
let's talk
problem at
about
all. No problem at all.
let's talk about the future
No
of
problem.
console hardware. Okay.
Yeah.
So with graphics cards and everything, in the current circumstance of the global pandemic, graphics cards and everything you use to put your consoles together are making a massive demand for computers. Obviously, consoles, Xboxes. I don't know about Nintendo Switches.
It's also
but
just the chip shortage.
Yeah.
yeah,
You guys heard about that, right?
Yeah. So, how are we going to see? Are we just going to keep seeing this go up? Where do you think gaming consoles and the accessibility of gaming is going to go? Is it going to just be like, are we going to go back to retro gaming for a lot of people, because it's actually going to be more accessible for the average person? I know that sounds weird, but it might be easier to just, give a well, Xbox is already kind of doing it. Like, it's easier to get an Xbox One than an Xbox One Series X. I just want to know what your guys' takes might be on where you think gaming's going.
The cloud.
The cloud.
Definitely the
Yeah.
cloud. That's why I say it.
We've
Yeah.
already kind of seen it with.
Well, I do
gaming.
cloud gaming all the time on my phone.
No, okay. I'd be interested to hear about that. That's actually pretty cool.
Cloud computing. That's where I see
Yeah.
gaming.
Mm.
Because the internet's getting so good that we can stream over the internet and it works, right? Not too good while everybody is like streaming and stuff. Like if you think about it, streaming over the internet a TV show didn't work until
Oh
like
my god. Yeah.
it didn't work. And
blew
then
my
as soon as
mind,
the
right?
internet as soon as the internet came up and was at that level, you could stream that. But streaming is one thing because you have delay on one side, but gaming is another thing because you have delay on the other side. You have user input, you got reaction, right? So once we get servers around the world that are close enough to make gaming make the delay small enough that gaming will be accessible. Like you see things like the Steam Link and like a console that is a thin client that uses your computer somewhere else in your house. That network is good enough that can work. You can't do it over Wi-Fi because Wi-Fi is not good enough because of its bandwidth problems. But if you got a snaky boy, if you got an Ethernet cable, that's fine. It's good enough. We just got to wait until the internet gets good enough and the services get close enough that cloud computing can come to gaming.
Yeah. I've got an interesting.
Well, what's your opinion on that? Sorry, I was just going to say, what's your opinion on Starlink?
I am excited for it. I think it's good. Like, especially in Australia. Like, a lot of places is very hard to get great internet. I'll probably get it. It's not here.
That's actually a good point, actually, because Starlink has delay, right? But
Hmm.
if you're surfing the internet, you don't care about delay. If you're looking at YouTube or if you're streaming a service, you don't care about delay. That thing
Gaming.
could be coming a second after you want it, and you still watch the show. It's a stream.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking in the future, when Starlink becomes such a thing, maybe the networks on the ground are going to be dedicated for things like gaming.
Yeah, I was kind of like thinking something when you're talking about like I think they've probably set it up in other places, probably America, Australia we got nothing, but they need to set up, I don't know, like gaming kind of server boxes in each city. I don't know. I don't even know how you do it because I'm just riffing here. You know, I don't
dedicated
actually know.
specifically for gaming.
Yeah. Just
Well,
gaming.
service data centers.
Yeah. Data centers just for gaming. They've got all the games, and that's just what they do. That'd be pretty interesting, and it's crazy talking about like the cloud stuff because we're just talking about like streaming videos. If I set like my parents watch shit on fucking Netflix now. My dad just figured out how to fucking use like a computer like 2 years ago. Like
It feels good, doesn't it?
this is how technology is moving. So if gaming goes this way to the point where it's so accessible, you can just press a button and then you're in, and it's like on point. I mean, your grandma might be playing games, and that sounds silly saying it, but the fact that we think
sucks that I think it's going to be the same subscription model as streaming services, where you'll need an EA Play, you'll need a Steam service, you'll need, all the launchers will have their own service, and you'll have to recursively pay to play those games. It is so scary
because those motherfuckers are predatory as fuck.
Oh yeah, they don't give a shit about the end user.
They're more predatory than these original entities of like, Foxtel and Netflix.
Sort of.
No, these guys.
It's gonna be so much worse.
So
honestly, if I had a chance, I would love to be able to work in that in the future, like developing that, right? Like if I can just sneak in and be like, all right, I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna develop something and innovate it, and then I'm just gonna give it to everyone for free. Be like, hey, you can use this. It connects to your VR setup, or it connects to whatever you wish. Connects to your mobile computer.
But you gotta. There's so much stuff on top of that. You got to think about like licensing the games, like data centers. You got to pay for. There's so much stuff.
Patenting, commercializing business, everything. Right. Of course.
If you give it out for free, where you getting?
I would just love to get into that. Just even being able to research from somebody who develops that would just be insane for me.
Yeah.
Right? Just being able to slip in and be like, hey, dude, this is what's happening in the future.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You probably actually, now that you say it, Ewan, you probably can't do it the way I was just saying. You just can't do it that way. You would have to do it. You would just have to make internet quicker. That is literally the only answer.
Or uncongested.
Well, it will get quicker.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
If you uncongest
because I honestly.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Ewan?
Dude, having it
if you uncongest the internet, that's the same as making it better, because there's bandwidth and then there's ping. Where if you have low ping, you gotta not max out your bandwidth. If you max out your bandwidth, you're gonna get shit ping.
Yeah.
And if you uncongest the internet, then if everybody uses Starlink for their everyday networking, then the internet will be a fast, very, very fast super line for gamers. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Do you know what I'd love to imagine? I have no idea how it would work, but I'd love to imagine something where you use like a light system to send information from one place to another at light speed, essentially, and do that around the world. So we're essentially streaming at light speed as it's happening instantly to your computer. Right?
That's called fiber. That's called fiber optic cables.
Are you talking about fiber that you get in your cereal?
This is what I mean. Like it's hard to innovate to a certain point because there's only so much you can do, right? Like
I thought you were going to talk about
I thought you were going to talk about massive amount of information. The thing is, it's so like I don't like to speculate on that just because it's so difficult to understand where it's going to get into the future. Because for me, I see it like, are we going to be a Wi-Fi society, or are we going to be an Ethernet society, or are we going to be something else? Right? It all
It
depends on the
needs both.
systems that develop in the future. Right? It's going to be both. It's going to be all
Hey,
of them. Right?
Hey
It's going
Miguel,
to be the ones that are gonna...
have you heard of Li-Fi?
I have heard of Li-Fi. I don't know too
And do
much
you know
about
that
it, but
it's so
I
the
have heard of...
downfalls of Li-Fi is that you need direct line side of
Yeah,
things,
right.
right? But like it's
Makes
like
sense. So that's
it's
what I
kind of
imagine.
like
Like, why not
it's
have a
kind of like
web
the
of...
difference between 4G and 5G, where 5G is less of range, but you're getting speed out of that. And
Yeah.
it's the same for Li-Fi, where you're sacrificing range because you need it, because Wi-Fi signals go through walls and light does not, and you're sacrificing that for speed because there's more, you can modulate more data into a higher wavelength. If the wave's going faster, you can modulate more data into that, so there's more capability of that network. Where like it's always
So if you
there's
built
always
a house, I was going to say, if you built a house or you built a complex where it has this system built in to the house, to a network straight away, where it's literally built into the foundations of the house, and then it's got a little area where, hey, it connects to whatever devices you want to connect to. That's the future. That's the future of housing, right? That's what you invest $1 million. But I mean, yeah.
almost, yeah.
No, but in a serious fashion, though, this will be something that like people who really have money will want to afford something like that because it's going to be innovative, right? The faster you can make the transfer of information, the more it's going to be demanded for. Honestly, right? Because people want to get as close to being able to be connected with one another in a physical sense as possible without having to be physical.
Well,
People want that, and for some reason,
sometimes.
our brains are like, we want to be able to, like, it's not about all the time. It's about having access. We're not about a we should or we shouldn't. We're about we can. That's the human race, right? If you look at how should we run the world, how should we run the government, how we should run our daily lives. It's not a what we should or shouldn't do. It's about what we can do in the day. That's what gets you through. What can you do today? What can you do tomorrow? What have you done? It's not about what you should or shouldn't do. It's the same with everything. It's the same with this.
What have I done today?
You streamed
not
earlier.
much. Not much.
What did you do today, Ben?
You were playing some Project Zomboid before.
Yeah, I did. I did this morning. I was just testing something. I'm always testing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just poking her with a stick and see what.
But
see
like,
what it does.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I'm a big tester. For like,
that's what I'd love to see with all of this technology, right? Because the faster you can make it, the better they can make the processing for these technologies, right? The better VR, AR can get, right? Or whatever system comes out, if a new system does. For me, I don't feel like it will. I think like something is going to be more related to a different technology than VR or AR. I think they're going to be the sort of staple we aim for, but you never know. Never know.
You've also got to remember that VR and AR, so VR at the moment is all integrated. So you can have a game that works on any headset where like, games go around to make sure that if you have the tech, if you have the latest tech, the full body tracking, the left, right, up, down, then it will integrate. But if you all you have is a tracker on your head and you're looking at a monitor, you can also play it.
Yeah.
It won't get.
Ewan?
Yeah, that was really fun.
And that's why I imagine you have like these different layers of systems where you do that. You got one where like one where you play in one area, one where you play in a different one. You can change your VR background. So you have more than one house. I got a house in one world, I got one house in another world, and another.
It's all about digital assets,
right? And expand like that. And then when you create a digital asset that has an infinite expansion level, that is like the only limit is data, right?
We've got a
That's
great.
the limit. What is the limit to the data in terms of digital? What the hell do you call it? Digital land, right? Digital space that you could own, right? What is the limit to that until we're like, okay, we can't sell this off anymore, right? There's no more capacity to process data. We run out, right? We process at a certain limit. We can only trade it.
I'm just going to read a great comment from a Humic Broom. Quick note for you lads. When light travels through fiber, it's not at C. Much slower. The laser link or Starlink, however, leads to lower possible
When it's
latency. So,
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I guess like it all depends on what kind of technologies are developed, because fiber may not be the most advanced internet technology we have in the future. Right?
definitely
you never
not.
know.
100% not.
Yeah.
One, I can say with confidence, no.
Better than copper, right? Right. It depends what's affordable for different worlds, different cultures,
Copper's pretty
countries.
good, mate.
Oh, it's pretty good. I
Put
love
the
my
water
copper.
through it.
Wow.
You know, copper's good until it's not.
All right.
Hmm.
I just I'm gonna try and like move us on to another subject because I want to keep it like flowing and going on to
Yeah, go for it.
to
Go
new
for it.
things. Do you guys have any other kind of tech in particular you want to talk about? What about you, Bernie? You got anything?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I think I want to mention the fact that you know, I was really the past few days I noticed God of War is on Steam. Now,
Yeah.
I'm really liking the fact that we're starting to see a lot of Xbox and PlayStation kind of software. It's software. I know we're talking about hardware, but software move on to different hardware. Do you guys think in the foreseeable future, maybe 5 years, 10 years, we're going to actually lose this console exclusivity? Bernie's like, nah, fuck you, Ben.
No, we're not. We're not going to.
Nah, yeah.
Are we going to at least see like a quicker transition to like PC
the consoles are going to fight each other, but I think they're all moving over to PC.
Yeah, so Microsoft wins.
Microsoft and Sony will fight.
Xbox is to PlayStation as Pepsi is to Coke. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
What about
right?
Nintendo?
So what would you think PC is in the
Nintendo is like the dry ice or whatever it's called. It's like that weird one. You know, the Audi one, I think it is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. What were you saying?
Nintendo's like the Audi one. Like we don't do anything controversial. We just sell these.
No, they don't even touch the.
So if Coke is PlayStation and Pepsi is Xbox, would PC be the glass?
I think PC is the
that you put it in.
yeah.
Because PC you don't normally drink it out of the glass, but you can.
Yeah. No, PC is the device that is used to hold. Right.
That's what
whether
I meant.
It's a glass, whether it's a
glass, or like
that's literally a glass.
Okay, you take it on word. Yeah, it is the vessel.
The vessel, yeah.
No, it's literally
but
the
also,
glass.
I guess like
PC
is also sort of like the company that runs the factory that creates the vessel too.
Yeah.
You know, they're not just like the thing that holds it together. They're also like the machine that works behind everything that works together.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Because it's not.
If you're getting that deep, the factory is the CPU and the computer is.
When was the last time you sent a fucking message to somebody? Right?
What?
I mean, like, when was the last time you went to your messages on your phone, not Facebook messages, not Discord? You went to messages and you sent somebody a message.
Yesterday.
Right?
Every day.
How often
every single day.
Today.
You know,
Miguel, you're the old one here.
No, I do it nearly every day as well, right? But I don't talk to too many people.
It's getting less.
I actually use mainly Messenger.
I hear what you're saying.
People are moving.
My point is like, without the internet, you don't have that, right? Because some people communicate little bits here and there, but you're not having full-blown conversations with everybody that you know, and only doing that, not looking at websites, not listening to anything, right? The internet is revolutionary in that sense. You spend most of your time on it. And
well, technically, if you're texting somebody, it's not going through the internet. It's going through a subset of different communication
this is my point, right?
So,
I understand that, and that's my point. How often are you not on the internet and in these profiles? This is what my point, right? It's not nearly as constant as it used to be. You remember back when you were a kid and your phone didn't get internet, or when like
phone?
You know,
what are you talking about? When I was a kid and I had a phone. What are you talking about, Miguel?
When I
What
was
are
a
you
kid,
talking about?
I
You had a phone?
only got a phone in year fucking 9.
Sorry, Ben. I know you're a bit older, but I mean,
Back when I was a little kid, I didn't have a fucking rock. I lived in a cardboard box.
Mari, you,
When I
you
was
took a
kid,
break
I
to
walked
work. Not
upstairs both ways.
Oh gosh. Oh, interesting thing. How old were you when you had your first phone? How old were you?
Oh my god.
Year 9.
Thank you for the. Did we just get raided? Oh well, thanks for. Oh, sorry. All right, let's go.
Oh,
There's a
yeah,
whole
we're getting
bunch
raided.
of people coming
Fun.
in, so thank you so much.
Well, we're gonna make sure that
Oh
it's
my
all.
God.
Gonna make sure we're interesting then. Hey.
All right. So
Yeah, most certainly.
let's-
I think seeing as we've just been rated, we should reintroduce ourselves and just sort of like talk about what we've been discussing at the moment. Like just a quick intro, not talking about like
Jesus
ourselves in a
Christ.
detailed sense.
So what have we done so far? We've done VR, AR. We've talked about the metaverse. We've talked about different technologies that is going to revolutionize the future. We talked about gaming and where that's going onto the cloud, of course. Talked about Starlink. We've talked about how we're going to integrate ourselves into Neuralink and how that stuff works. Talked about all kinds of stuff.
We talked a little bit about like the tech itself, but we didn't talk into like too much detail about how that itself is going and where that's developing. We sort of just kept around that. I guess good way to keep it simple for viewers, unless people want to know.
So I want to kind of talk about phones, because phones are always with you as for at the moment. They are your standard piece of hardware that everyone. Because you were starting to mention phones, and you were talking about when I had a phone when I was a kid, and I was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, that's right. I just asked before people who just came in, like, how old were you when you
I don't know, like
got your
12,
first phone?
like 12 years old maybe. I was actually got it a lot earlier than a lot of kids my age.
Right.
But
yeah, think about it. How about for you guys? You and Ernie.
But
like the 5th grade or something.
You got you actually probably got it. We were probably ahead of a lot of people. And then all the kids in year, I think year
Nokia
8
brick phone.
probably started.
I think it was year 9 when I got my first phone.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No, like I had an iPod. I had an iPod for ages.
Oh,
like,
right.
Yeah, but like it was never a phone because I'd never had that cellular connection. You know.
No one really.
I got real lucky. I got a phone when I was year 5. That was my first one, I think. Like the end of year 4, sort of.
Yeah.
So, like I like considering my age, it's like still in a pretty early stage of the phones.
Yeah, I
it's
guess
like just after the like Nokia stage. Like
when I was
a kid, around that time.
When I was a kid, like, and Bernie's probably the same. No one had a phone, so even if you had a phone, what are you gonna do with a phone? Like your mum can call you or
You're not gonna send anything to anyone.
That's about it. Like there was no point to have a phone. It wasn't like how it is. I mean, it's same for you guys. Like now the phone is. Miguel, you play League of Legends on the telephone.
Yeah,
you play it on your mobile
telephone, boy.
His telephone.
Actually, help run tournaments with it too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
we gave out just funny thing for viewers. We ended up giving out a total of $130 odd in prizes to participants and winners of that tournament. So pretty good running, and hopefully we're going to try to do one in the early parts of this year too. So that might be something I talk about in the future on one future podcast.
Yeah. Well, that's going to start to be a thing. With where game developers are going to start to go with hardware in terms of phone, and game developers making games for this new hardware. League of Legends is the best example I have because it's like esports is kind of League of Legends is a massive innovator for esports, but we're also seeing games like Clash of Clans. And the great thing about I keep saying telephones, mobile phones. I sound like an old person. Well, I guess I am old. But anyway, we're gonna start to see, like, if you're living in China, the average commute of a person is 3 hours to work, to and from work every day. If you live in Sydney, and the way these people, they don't have time to sit at home, sit in a console, and play a video game because they spend the entire day traveling. So,
Well, you know what? I honestly reckon the children probably will, and for one reason, and that's because their phones turn off at 10 p.m. And consoles are the only thing that they can play, being able to connect to the internet, not their phone. And not like they're not going to be using that many services, right? Because I imagine that their services are also going to be turned off on Xbox and PlayStation. But you can play games. No, that's the thing that they're going to be doing. The kids are going to grow up in China. The future generation of gamers are going to be ones who only game, barely spend time on the internet, right? Because they're like, well, we can't spend it on late at night anyways, so we may as well just spend it in games. Whole different culture. People who have massive gaps in the internet's advancements. Years even. Could you imagine that? Oh, I haven't looked at the internet in 5 years. I don't use the internet, dude.
I want to
use the internet.
I also want to ask all you guys: do any of you play games on your phones? Like, do you actually play games on your phones? Like, I know Miguel does. Have you ever? Like, or would you, if it became actually like not?
What was your history? Talk about your
not
history.
Shit. Like, it's not.
I think that's the important
like,
thing. Like, he's getting at, like, talk about your history about, like, you know. Yeah.
I think that's my phone for everything.
Huh?
Well, everything we've touched on, I use my phone for. I've done AR with it, VR with it, and I cloud game on it. I can play my own Xbox with my phone from down at the shops or in my car.
Oh, there's actually a pretty long comment here.
The aspect that I don't like about
I did read through it.
Oh, what were you saying? Sorry, Ewan.
The aspect I don't like about.
Go ahead, Ewan.
The aspect I don't like about phone gaming is that you don't have the tactile touch, so you can't. So you need to look at where you're touching.
Yeah.
It's like having a flat keyboard, and you're trying to touch type, and you have no idea where the keys are because you can't touch them. That's the problem I have. Like, yes, I could set up a virtual session with my computer. Oh well, okay, yeah. In that case, then you can have a controller, but me being a PC gamer, I can't. It's not realistic for me to have a keyboard. You know, just walk around with a keyboard, and even with the little like Bluetooth ones, you know, it's not realistic, and you need a mouse, and that mouse is like, you know, you could figure out a way to make it work. Maybe you could have like a pocket, which is also a mouse pad.
You mean like a phone where you can have like an attachment that flips out that becomes keyboard? Or you mean like a phone that can have a screen that has a keyboard on?
I mean, like, the mouse is the most problematic thing, you know, because you need a mouse pad.
Right? Could you imagine them making an adaptation where you can plug in a miniature, like a wireless mouse into your phone?
But then who wants to be using a wireless mouse that's like this big, you know?
No, you'd be using like a proper mouse, but it connects to the phone wirelessly, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then like your phone, instead of it being like a phone, you can either have that or you can have like a large tablet. It's just like essentially the monitor screen.
Why do people have desks with their computers? Why don't they sit down on the couch? Because it's uncomfortable, because you need a mouse pad, because you need a keyboard. And, you know, mobile gaming's for walking around or doing things, you know. You're not going to sit down at a desk and mobile game. Why would you do that? You know, why would you, you know, I have seen people do the tablet thing where they have a tablet with the keyboard and mouse plugged in, and then they play on their tablet. That works, you know, because they have the processing power to play games, like basic games like Minecraft and stuff like that. But then if you have a desktop computer and then you have a phone, you know, I use my phone to watch YouTube. That's fine. I don't need the input. And, you know, if I got wireless earbuds and stuff like that, that's fine. You know, listening to music, using my phone to text people, because, you know, the input, you know, you get used to the input with typing because you can go back. But within a game, you can't really go, oh, I didn't mean to press that button. Let me just go back 2 seconds. You know, you need,
exactly.
It needs to be, no, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
It
you
needs
need a feel.
it needs to be
I hear
responsive.
what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
with a controller,
Yeah, it
like,
needs to be.
or a keyboard, like, you get muscle memory for the action, and with Zone, like, you can kind of see it, like, but
Mm.
there's
You have to
something
look at it.
about feeling. I hear what you're saying. Like, the feel of a button, like, it just feels good to press a button, and you get comfortable with that.
I think
might
You
be
know
able to
where
get
they
to that.
are.
honestly,
Yeah.
I think it'll be a matter of time, and I think it'll be a culture of people. Right? I don't mean to be like I don't say like what I was aiming at before was serious in terms of like using a mouse and connecting it to the phone. I don't really think the market will go that way, because I think the market likes exclusivity. It likes to be able to sell more products. So instead of combining products, why don't I just separate them so you have to buy them more individually? It's a smarter idea. That's the way I see it. And so instead of having to like buy a mouse for your phone, you can just keep one for your computer, right? Whether you need a mouse or not in the future, you might get to a point where you don't need a mouse. Like, you just have like a small device that you can hold that acts like the mouse, in a larger sense, for a larger screen, right? Even a projection, perhaps. And then you could have like a different device that you use the same thing for your mouse, perhaps. Anything is possible, really. I'm just saying more like, I think people will group up between those who use the technologies and those who don't.
Yeah,
And it's going to always be like that.
We
It
are
always
seeing
has
it.
been like that.
I guess it's kind
It's
of
going to
different.
just evolve in different ways, right?
It's a different case.
That's
for
what I
like,
see.
for like us, Ewan, and I think you as well, Bernie. But Miguel, I think, is actually in the camp that doesn't. You don't need a controller, because you play mobile games, and you'll probably find
exactly.
a lot.
I actually don't use consoles unless I use
Yeah.
old-fashioned consoles, like you
And
talked about earlier, the retro consoles. That's what I use.
It's not gonna be so much for people who have consoles. It's gonna be people in countries or in situations where they've never had access to this kind of thing. And honestly, a lot of these people, it's going to be really weird. It's going to be fucking weird, because I'm a PC gamer and I'm saying this is weird, and you'll know what I mean as soon as I say it. They're going to be just as good as we are on this, on keyboard and mouse, without it, because they'll have all the like actual. That will just be what they've always done since they were a little kid.
But
They might be a little bit worse.
Touchscreen controls on a phone.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm saying
maybe.
I doubt
It's
it.
the endless cycle, right? It's the endless cycle of the more complicated a game is, the better the player has to be. The better the player is, the more complicated the game has to be. And that's a singular cycle in itself. When you add generations of beings into that, these beings who are like, hey, now we've learned how to do this aspect of the game, we have to wait till it's updated.
Yeah.
Right? And you think about a game that is updated instead of a single release. We don't know about any of those, do we? Right? Nothing like old school RuneScape, perhaps, or RuneScape. And you think about them like, our children will be better at these games than we are, and their children will be better, and they'll be better at the technologies that are.
It's just the fact of as well, like the tools you're given, like you work with the tools you're given, and you like you innovate to become good with those tools. Like, here's an example: 60 hertz screen to a 120 hertz screen. They've done studies where it only makes a little bit of a difference, because the player becomes good enough where the tools they have, like, I know it's not the same example as the control, but it's similar.
You watched the video with Shroud, didn't you?
I don't know if I'd watch one with Shroud. Yeah, but was there a video on that? Well, yeah. Anyway,
Shroud talked about it. Yeah, he
Yeah,
said
I mean,
that
like,
there's no difference. Just you get used to the 120 hertz, but he felt he was just as good on 60.
It'd probably be a similar thing with controls, but it'd probably be to a lesser extent if you get used to the other thing. Yeah.
you got to remember that you have much more control with a mouse.
100%. I'm not disagreeing with that. And you'll hear that statement between PC gamer and console gamers, and it's like an argument. And then they argue that the game is designed a certain way.
No,
to
it's
fit
not.
Those...
Mouse is definitely more control.
Yeah. But then you'll get the argument that people will design the game to make it so that it's on a level playing field for both parties, and then that question
If
is
there's
gone.
cross compatibility involved.
Yeah, and I
In
think
terms
that's
of this,
what I'm
I just had
talking about.
the craziest idea, right? Thinking about it all, thinking about how it links to any kind of game, not just what we're talking about now, not just VR, AR. What is the absolute most important aspect to any game, to anything, any content? What is the most important aspect
Quality.
for us? No, more important than that. Quality is irrelevant.
Accessibility.
No, yes, but not in the right sense. Like accessibility, but in what sense? What is the one thing that is necessary for us to have accessibility to this content? To VR, what is the one thing you need to have access to accessibility?
If you can't access it, how do you?
Yeah, but I'm saying, what do you need in order to access VR, for example? What is the one thing you have to have?
Money.
Eyes.
Yes, Bernie's right. Eyes. Right? Doesn't matter whether or not it's affordable. You literally need to be able to visualize using your eyes the content in front of you.
I mean, like, yeah, they make
I'm
games
thinking,
for
like, right? We get to a future where we're able to adapt our bodies to the point where our eyesight is better. Then where does technology develop, right? We get to a point where we can have different degrees of like concentrated sight, and we can use that to develop technology. Suddenly you can have a zoom feature on your eye. Could you imagine that? Imagine a future where, like, what we can develop with that. That's what I'm thinking about, right? I was thinking about a future where, like, there's a marketplace for being able to develop your eyesight, right? Because it's a big problem. How many people have to wear glasses, right? It's going to be a demand in the future. We want to stop wearing glasses. We want to have these devices where we no longer need glasses, right?
We can fix that with surgery, though. And
yes,
the problem is we can't do it because it's expensive.
Right? And it will be expensive, but it doesn't matter. People will buy it, right? Because there will be a demand. I would be very surprised if there's no demand in the future for the improvement of eyesight, because it is like the fundamental thing that affects the way that we live as a human species, right? You can already see the amount of struggle a blind person has to live as opposed to a person who sees, right? Imagine this same thing, but with content. With anything that you do, right? Like, imagine trying to walk without being able to see, right? Now imagine being able to create something in a digital world or on like a computer or something with like this, not only Neuralink, this advanced brain set, your ability to process more data, but the ability to see more data.
We kind of talked about
the more you can see, the more you can think, the more you can fill in. It's a cycle. It's going to be
but then also imagine that Neuralink is seeing what you're doing and it wants you to do something, so it makes it rewarding to do that thing. So if like in a future where you're watching an ad, you're getting reward from that. You're addicted to watching that ad.
Dopamine response to ads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be so scary.
More
so
than
you
just
go
an
online
ad,
and be like, I
what
just want
scares
ads,
me.
ads, more. You know?
Way more than what scares me.
Dopamine response is just scary.
I look at it the level of information, right? Like literally the concept of information itself. Imagine we get to a point where like we have information funneling in and out of our brains constantly through Neuralink, right? What is the percentage of information that goes in and out of your brain that is advertisement, that is companies, that is not you in and out of your head constantly, and right? And the amount of that's going to be within you throughout your lifetime. Think about that. How much of your lifetime you're going to have little companies' heads stuck in your head saying, hey, you're going to subscribe this month. Remember, hey, check out the new things you can see.
Buy this thing. You'll feel good when you buy this thing. Do it. Ooh.
Yeah. Hey, I know you're not awake, but I'll send these to you while you're sleeping so you can dream about them and think about them. That'll be a new,
that's another thing.
Right? Then we'll get into you as much as possible. Can you think about that?
Yeah. Okay.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to...
You don't have dreams anymore, you have ads.
Yeah, the more we, the time we spend...
Mints.
You go. Because I've got something to say about this as well, but you go first.
A lot of things to say about this.
Go on.
So I was thinking about this earlier, how, like, what if what if this Neuralink thing also lets you play games in your sleep? It's like a tutorial for
I don't
life,
know if I
but
like
it's
that, bro.
curated. What if it's a curated tutorial for life that will make you better long term? What if two twins got the same information? Would that make those twins think the same, exactly the same? Probably.
No.
I haven't done the research.
No, because
It's just a thought
the
experiment
reason
at this
is
point.
why I'll give you. I know, but I'll give you one reason why it doesn't happen. Right? One simple idea that's tech related, and it's the idea of two cameras. Each camera is going to have a different perspective of the same thing, and so because of that, they're not going to be the same.
Yeah, they'll be different.
Exactly.
There's always going to be difference with everything.
Like that itself proves the reason why the same thing will happen with twins, because they'll get the exact same information downloaded into the brain, except for they're not the same individual. They will see things differently. So the only way to introvert that is if you did something truly unethical, right? Which I don't really want to get into, which would be the transfer of one to another. Right?
Oh, you've thought about this, haven't you?
That stuff is crazy. Oh yeah. Oh, of course I have, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like what I really wanted to say about it was that, yeah, in thinking about how much information is just going to be transported throughout that, like you, okay, you go into bed, right? You plug yourself in, as you do every night, and as you go to sleep, you lay there, and then you sleep, but your mind keeps working, and it keeps working the whole time your body rests. Your body sleeps, but your mind's racing, and it's still working. You work throughout the whole time that you're asleep, and then you wake up, and then you wake up and work again.
That sounds exhausting.
And you do that. You wake up, you work a shift. You go to sleep, you work a shift, but you're always plugged in every day because they give you enough energy. If you're plugged in, right? You're plugged into the system.
Why aren't we working 24/7?
Why?
Why aren't we working 24/7? Because people die if you do that.
Because it's a human.
You don't do that, and then it doesn't kill people.
It does. It totally does, right? But you, like, when you force somebody to do that,
they push it necessity, so far, right? Until
dude, you don't understand how hard someone has to suffer until they have to work like that throughout their life, right? Throughout the early part of their life, instead of them getting to sleep, what they do, they work all day, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day, working, slaving it out, and then they go to sleep, but they have to keep their mind alert because they have to be careful of whether or not, they're a mother, their children are going to get hurt, or whether their children are sick. They've got to think about themselves. They've got to think about whether they have a partner that can protect them or whether they're on their own. They've got to think about, okay, where am I going to eat tomorrow? All of these things, right? This is a thing that nobody thinks about. It's always pushed aside.
Dystopian 40K future you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, totally, right. But I mean, like,
I think
people think about that already.
Don't get me wrong. When I say like, have like a tutorial in your head to go through and like do all these things, it's not the entire time. It could just be during REM sleep. It could just be part of a little tiny bit, and it would still give information. It would still be valuable to that person.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not like I'm just gonna plug them into a machine and then they're gonna be.
The thing is, you don't need
entire night. They're gonna.
You don't need to work 24/7, right? It's exactly like you said, but you can still work 27, right? You can have 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours, however much you want to regulate it. If you're addicted to games, you can have 2 hours sleep and do that every day, right? Or 2 or 3 hours and be an insomniac, like many people do already, right? Without having to plug themselves into any system, right? Except for a system that would be addicting because you can create chemicals that you can buy, quite easily and accessibly that make you want to do this, right? Having a drive to be able to, like, think about it like this. How does your mind work, Ewan, when you get interested in something you really like, you want to suck into? How do you get into that process?
Oh, good question.
Right? Like, how does your mind work in that time? How does your body work in that time? The way you think, the way you act, right? Now imagine that you had that drive with everything you did. All the time you have that drive.
I don't like it. No.
Could you imagine that? Right?
That would suck.
You need downtime, bro.
That would suck off.
You totally do, right?
You need to rest.
Yeah. Right?
And people would,
see, like,
if they had the option.
Do you need to rest if the pleasure of doing that, right?
And
there's a difference between, like,
it would be very
bad. It totally would, right? I'm sorry I'm talking very dystopianly.
we're
I
already,
was-
we're
I
already
was- I
kind of
was
going
saying-
down
It's
that
just-
Only
path.
like 2
I've
hours
thought
in.
about this too much.
All right. It's about 2 hours in.
Totally.
Is there any finishing short points that anyone wants to? Because we've been going for 2 hours. so
All right. I'm
Yeah. You're all good, Miguel. You're all good.
I don't mind. Like,
Right, no,
how's
It's
everyone else
just it's been
feeling?
2
Like,
hours. That's all.
are people like enjoying? I guess, you know,
No,
what do
people
people
in-
I
think?
hope
about
people
what's
are
going on?
enjoying this.
I hope so.
It's been fun.
I do hope so as well. You know? I hope people find like what we're talking about interesting and whatnot, and then
It's
we're
mentally
able to
stimulating.
provide some sort of insight, you know, or a different perspective even of the different
Yeah.
topics today. You know,
Well, I think
like,
we can
yeah, I'm not going to
definitely-
talk about.
we can definitely talk about we didn't get a chance to like a few people asked a few things about it, interesting things in here. Like I just want to go we'll go over this one. Sorry Phil, we're going to go over this one really quickly, this question, if you're all right too, guys. It's more to do with it's a bit off topic, but it's Nintendo. You guys probably have seen recently they've been taking down a lot of fan-made games. There was like an Metroid 2 kind of remake
yes.
kind of thing, fan-made, with Nintendo and probably a lot of other well, mostly Nintendo. Nintendo's been real shit
Nintendo,
recently.
they love it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lead you off with this, Bernie. Is there any like we'll brush over this one, then I think we'll end the show, okay, guys? Because yeah, what do we all think of that?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Yeah.
What do you
So
mean?
Yeah,
I'm
if
gonna
you guys
let you.
wanna
I'm
wrap
gonna
it
let
up,
you.
you're good,
You
man.
got anything to say about that, Bernie, in particular, or about the
I don't know.
ethics of
It's
Japan?
nothing new. Nintendo have always done that.
Yeah, they've been real dicks recently,
Yeah.
especially recently. I think
They want full control over their brand, which is fine. You know, like they're always shutting down YouTube videos, but just doing a review on one of their games and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's to do a lot with Japanese culture as well. That's what I've heard, at least. They just deal with that kind of thing a lot. Yeah, we think it's really bad, Phil. I think it's pretty shit. I would love to.
I mean, like,
yeah,
a company's job is to make money, right? So if they miss an opportunity, then that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So
correct.
yeah, so technically they're doing the right thing by taking what's theirs because it is theirs because that's what they made, or that's their property, that's their rights.
it's their IP. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with you to a degree, but it's something they're not.
it's a dog thing to do. Yeah,
And I feel like their goal should be actually to reach out to the people and try and hire them. That should be their goal. But yeah, is there any last little tidbits anyone wants to say on that one? Just because it's been more than 2 hours, so.
I was just going to say quickly that you know, I've heard it said before that Nintendo has a player base that's large enough for them to consider caring about them, but they tend to make the choice of not, as felt by the fan base. So I don't personally hold that view, but I've heard other people who use Nintendo products say that point of view and sort of talk. They don't really care about like even content creators have said that, even streamers have said that, like they feel like, you know, they don't really use anything to communicate with us. Like they let us do a couple of things, but other stuff it's like ridiculous how to do anything, you know. It's not possible, crazy.
I feel like
it's always a mess.
They care about their audience, but they're just out of touch. Like that's my opinion on that one. All right,
it's quite possible.
I think we'll finish up there, but I really want to thank everyone for coming. Ewan, so much, bloody wonderful to have you. We all appreciated your input. You are definitely the right person to have on this one because I know you're into a lot of this stuff. And Bernie and Miguel, of course, thank you so much for today. Also want to thank everyone. I mean, there's a fair few people here right now. This is a lot of people. Like, I know it sounds like there's only 10. There's 10 people here. Like, this is the second time we've done this, bro. Like, this is amazing. So thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all good. I think like the more we do this, the better we get to.
Yeah.
Like hopefully, like we'll at least get better at this. But I mean, like sort of things we go over and the way it's set up will get better and better.
Yeah, we've
too.
definitely got to format ourselves a little bit better.
More
Bit rushed today
chat
because a couple of
interaction.
The direction. We got to yeah, but no, I think it was pretty interesting. I found it very interesting. I don't know about you guys, but today I really liked
Yeah.
it.
Very enlightening.
Yeah. Alrighty.
yeah, definitely. I had a great time. But yeah,
Alrighty. Well, any last things?
sorry, I was just say it was all good, man.
Does anyone want to say any last things before we go? Just like any links, anything you want people to have a look at?
If Facebook Meta does what it's going to be doing,
really want...
I'm going to hate it. It's going to be shit. It's going to be so shit. They're going to steal all the data. They're going to take the middleman. They're going to be the middleman. They're going to be like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. That's mine now. That's where I'd see that.
Yeah.
It's
well, you've been
because Facebook
like,
has always
where you
stolen
go in the virtual reality. That is data they want to track, right?
It's not data. It's metadata.
We know where you go.
Miguel,
you know what you do.
Something different.
You got anything you want anyone to look at? Oh.
No, I think like in terms of the study, like you could talk about.
Absolute legend, Phil.
Hell yeah! Thank you so much. No, I was just going to say, if you want to look into the study or other studies, you can just search it up on Google Scholar as you like. The one I took up was just talking about the sort of early developments of VR just after the initial run. And there are a lot of like studies that are being developed at the moment, not only into how this technology can affect gaming, but also in how it can affect other fields. Trading, how it can affect medical fields, how it can affect retail, how it can affect so many different fields of occupation. And so it's going to be a highly demanded product, I think. I think it's going to, like, I can totally imagine similar to you see in sci-fi movies where they plug into the system and then they're working in this digital system that has an effect in the real life world, you know, such as a factory, operating a robot in a factory, right? But doing it without having to be, you know, thinking about like taking the actions of the robot, but in virtual reality, right? I can totally see that.
All right.
Having a marketplace for that. That way, like you're able to maximize like the robot's operation and minimize human error because the human error is in any case.
All right, Bernie, is there anything you want to say before we go? Anyone? Got
No.
any links? You guys need to make like you need to make like something that I can send these guys to see your stuff.
Minks and Leams.
Yeah, we'll do it soon.
Oh well, I've got. Yeah, I haven't set up my Twitch channel yet, so
yeah.
Once I like get stuff going, once I start
streaming, you got to get your Twitches set up, guys.
Yeah,
like get your Twitches set up and.
I've got my Twitch set up.
Oh well, is it glitch?
I just don't have the internet to stream right now.
Well, when you do,
I just need a camera to stream.
Yeah, you guys need to buy cameras. None of you have cameras.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to, I've created a new YouTube channel. If anybody wants to go over there, it's called Silly.
Oh, give us a link,
probably.
Give us the link.
Let me get a link.
Yeah, give us the link. We'll just pop it on. Just message me directly on Discord, and I'll throw it in the chat. For anyone, Ewan's like got a really fun YouTube channel. Really fun.
I've only got one video, but it's gonna be blowing up soon.
It's going viral.
Yeah,
but it's a fun one.
Yeah,
dude, that's going worldwide.
Yeah, just jump on the podcast more often, and we'll go viral.
It's gotta go on the metaverse, bro.
Yeah, dude. Okay. Well, thank you for putting up with me. I think it was interesting.
What was I doing? I was doing something. Did you link it to me, Ewan?
No, I'm just finding it now.
I'll throw it in the chat, and like I'm gonna put it up on YouTube, so we'll put that chat. Yeah. Just yeah. You should actually put it on your Discord as well. Oh no, I think I got it. No, that's is it you, Mitta?
No.
Yeah.
That's my other one.
Oh, no.
Oh, bloody hell. There you go. It's in Discord.
Yeah, sick. I'll chuck it in here
Oh, no.
just so if anyone is interested in
Just a funny deranged man drinks a funny drink.
Oh, I messed up. Hold on. Gonna link that again. There we go. All right. Alrighty.
Very
Well,
nice.
let's end it here, guys. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next time. I hope. All right, see you later.
Thanks so much.